must start listening to his legal advisors, Otiende Amolo and James Orengo. Those two gentlemen are good in law. James Orengo is actually a working constitution. Today I listened to James Orengo speaking on the floor of the Senate over the Building Bridges Initiative bill. And I can tell you, Raila Odinga must start listening to James Orengo. So tomorrow I'll do a video why I strongly believe Raila Odinga must start listening to James Orengo. At the same time, he should also listen to his other team. But for now, I want you to listen to James Orengo explaining the issue of the 70 constituency. Just listen very closely and drop your comment. Thank you, guys.
Now, the other issue which I think is critical, which now is very controversial, is the issue of the constituencies. And the committee delved into this issue, for long. There were very long debates. And I think it is in regard to this particular clause that we had probably the abstention or the minority report by Senator Sakaja. But all in all, this provision, the committee was saying, without amending other clauses of Article 89, which spells out how you create constituencies, that provision may be hanging on nothing and may mean nothing. That's what the committee was told. And it may be creating a parallel system of delimitation of constituencies, one which is constitutionalized and one which can change at any time. Again, I think if you read that part of the report, it is not left hanging. They tell you, the committee and the suggestion of the experts, that it actually may be much ado about nothing. Because on a proper construction of that provision, one would ask the question actually whether the constituencies have been created or not. And if you read that section properly, I think the debate should really be, is it a provision that is enforceable or is it hanging in the air? And to me, that is the reason why I've come to the conclusion that we may not necessarily need to sever Schedule 2 or amend it, because the reasoning was, and I think the South African cases that were cited, that a schedule is part of the Constitution. You cannot amend a schedule thinking that different rules apply. The schedule is, properly speaking, part of the Constitution. And therefore, severing it offers many challenges. But I've heard the cry out there. I mean, the report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, for example, they are saying, if you look at the demographics and the parameters, a place like Itui should have had a constituency. And that is the expert saying it. It is not some busybody who was saying. They're saying like Meru should have gotten a constituency. They are saying Kisii should have gotten a constituency. And Bungoma, we should have those constituencies on those areas if you are using the parameters set out in the Constitution. And I know in my backyard, there's a lot of noise coming from, not noise, legitimate concerns from the people of Nyatike, the people of Karachonyo, the people of Homa Bay, the people of Siaya, and in the neighborhood, I know people of Busia, and of course I've talked about Kisii. And then also by all accounts, Kakamega is one of the biggest counties by population, even by the number of constituencies they have now. So explaining how Kakamega was getting 2 constituencies is a bit of a problem if you're using a scientific method. And others are getting 5, others are getting 4, which they deserve. My position is that, they should not be taken away if they are deserved. But if you're using a scientific process, which has been demonstrated by the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics, and the IEBC told us that actually they work with the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics for purposes of boundaries and delimitations. There is a question mark there. And at the end of the day, and which I want to persuade our members here, that the severance of that schedule or amendment of that schedule may not necessarily be the answer. It will not help. So it is better to pass this report as it is, because I've looked at so many reports, and I think this is one of the reports that I can say, a lot of brain work went into it. A lot of experts, a lot of our good people, distinguished senators, and members of the National Assembly, they put their mind in this report. And if you look at the attendances, people were so regular and constant in their attendance, virtually or physically. Even when they were abroad, they were taking part in the deliberations. And of course, if you say you want to take some constituencies from a place like Nairobi, then the argument about population, can we deny them? Because one of the parameters is population. So it's a debate that is very difficult to win. You will go on, and people will raise issue with the delimitation of constituencies, even if they are fair and just. The other thing that, of course, which was protected was the existing constituencies, plus the protected constituencies. Because you may find an area that maybe overall they deserve a new constituency, but within it, they have got protected constituencies, which actually, if you use the scientific process and the parameters set out in the Constitution, you may find a county that may lose 2 constituencies. And they're there, and quite a number, in Central, in Western, in Nyanza. They're all over. And Makwiny, in Lamu. Lamu, if you use those parameters strictly, Lamu would end up being a 1 constituency county. So, and then, Mr. Speaker, there is a question on North Horr. North Horr is so huge. It's so huge. I think it's bigger than Nyanza twice. And it is 1 constituency. Yeah. And yet, every time we have a review, they don't get it. They don't get it. And yet they are protected constituencies. Why North Horr cannot become a protected constituency using the same criteria which made it possible for others to be protected is beyond comprehension. You have Wajir, where there's a very legitimate concern about another 1 constituency or 2. You have Ijara in Garissa. Yeah. So all over the Republic, there are people who deserve to have these constituencies. So that depending on the availability of the number of constituencies, we may not be able to resolve that question. And we are now resolving, because we have created now we are going to have in the National Assembly 360 members of parliament. And if you don't get the gender balance, which happily will be attained in the Senate, you have to give a top-up, gender top-up. So we are going to have a National Assembly which has got 500,000. I mean, 500. 500 members of parliament. I think in that parliament, people are going to be talking for 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah. And then in the Senate, because now we're going to be about 100, your usual 5 minutes will come 3 minutes. Yeah. So there are burdens that Yeah, there are burdens which have been created, but those burdens, like the one on gender, is a constitutional requirement, is one of the objectives of the Constitution. And we have tried over the years to address that question of gender, but without success. So one of the things that I think we can say about this bill is that it has addressed that question, and at the same time, it has a sunset clause, which means that they are not going to be there forever. Or if you reach a situation like in the Scandinavia, where parliament's membership is in favor of the women as against men, we may reverse the role, and you have more nominated members of parliament or the Senate who are men. Mr. Speaker, there's one provision in this Constitution which describes the character of society that we want to create. It is a new provision. It's going to be a new provision in the Constitution. And I think it is so fundamental. Remember, Nyerere described Kenya as a man-eat-man society. And we have not changed that character, actually. We are truly man-eat-man. Kenya is the only place you can walk through a government, no, not walk through, just walk near, past. And even a pub, you cannot walk past and you're called for a drink. But in Kenya, for some reason, you can walk near a government organization and walk out with a 3 billion shilling tender. So really, we have not really changed the definition of a man-eat-man society as propagated by the late Mwalimu Nyerere. So this clause 11A, which is right on the first page of the amendment bill, that talks about the economy and shared prosperity. I hope it's not just there to please ourselves. And it says this Constitution recognizes the need for an economic system that provides equitable opportunities for all the people of Kenya to benefit from economic growth in a comprehensive, fair, and sustainable manner. Now, I wonder whether we'll be able to achieve that. In the last 2 months, if you look at the appointments that have been made, I don't know whether we are going to that direction. No. Because it's saying a manner which is giving equitable opportunities. So we should look at every institution and see whether we are creating the face of Kenya, be it in the judiciary or in the public service or in the security systems. This objective is one, I think that if we committed ourselves to it, and I cannot read the other enabling provisions in this clause because it will take long, but if this can become a face of the country we call Kenya, which is fairer than we have had it, then we would have made big strides. And there's another clause there about regional integration and cohesion, which I think is contemplating even a confederation. If you wanted to create a confederation in the region or have a federation, then we'll be having an underpinning provisions in the Constitution that makes it possible. Now, the other big achievement through this BBI document was that the Bill of Rights was never touched. Me, as a practitioner of law, and we know today we had that experience of one of our own being arrested in a manner that does not reflect what type of society we want to be. That even if you are arrested, you must be arrested in dignity, because there's a constitution which sets out that human dignity must be protected. So we have all these clauses about the Bill of Rights, which are there when we want to speak well of ourselves, But when we examine how we apply them, then it looks like we are trying to create a very different kind of society. But Article 31 of the Constitution is to be amended by expanding the provisions dealing with privacy and to have personal data infringed. We are entering an age of a digital revolution and online communications and so on. So I think this is a very good provision to